All right, for more insight into children's education and different parenting styles, we're joined by Tran. He's assistant professor of sociology at Columbia University. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Van, we just saw in the report that children as young as 6 are going to coding schools in China. Why do you think this is such a big popular trend now?
I think it's a significant cultural shift in China right now. And part of it has to do with the reaction that parents are having towards ensuring that their children has a competitive edge in the labor market when they grow up. On the one hand, you could think it's starting way too early. On the other hand, I think it reflects the general concern and anxiety that Chinese parents have about the economy. And we have been hearing about this over the last few days as well.
Well, we know that Chinese parents, if we're going to go by the stereotypes and generalizations, which I'm not usually a fan of, but if we're going to go by them, they are usually more strict, more exacting, and we have the idea of the tiger mom. How would you describe that?
Well, that's exactly right. They tend to be more strict, and more importantly, they place great emphasis on the education of their children. And you see this starting very, very young. And that really has to do with the fact that in the American society, Chinese Americans in particular, from which the tiger mom stereotype derives, are really conscious of the fact that they have struggled to make it to America, and therefore they want to ensure that their children has a chance and a shot at the American dream, and they would do everything they could to start that as early as they can.
But we're seeing this also in China. As you say, they're concerned about the economy and they're pushing their children towards coding to ensure a better financial future. How does this impact the children?
Well, I think that on the one hand, it's great that they are getting a head start. On the other hand, there is often an enormous emotional cost of achieving. Children felt often that they're not given the room and the space to explore and to be creative and to pursue their passion, which is something that is really the classic American parenting style. So I think in that sense, they are struggling as a result.
Again, I don't like sweeping generalizations, but if we were to compare American parenting style to Chinese parenting styles, what would you say is the biggest difference?
I think there are clear differences. Chinese parents often would remind their children when they get home to get the homework done. And then after that, they place a lot of emphasis on extracurricular activities that would be conducive to getting the children into the most selective colleges and universities in the country, such as playing the piano, playing the violin. On the other hand, no play date, no TV, and certainly no video games. On the other hand, you could also see that the American parents are slightly much more kind of, supportive of the more artistic and cultural pursuits of their children.
Would you say that American parents emphasize sport and physical activity more than Chinese parents, perhaps?
Not necessarily. I would say that's only a difference in terms of degrees. So, when you think about parenting, people often talk about parental warmth and parental control. So for the Chinese parents, they often err on the side of more controlling, whereas the American and European parents tend to err on the side of more warmth and affection.
Now, you're grouping American and European parents together. Is it because the parenting styles are significantly similar?
I think that that's what the research is showing, that there are clear differences between Americans and Chinese parents, but not as much, if you will, between American and European parents as a whole.
So given all of this, what impact does this have on the economy? You mentioned that the economy is a top concern for Chinese parents in the way that they promote these type of activities and extracurricular activities to further their kids' careers. Does this actually trickle down? Does this actually translate into the economy? Have any studies proven that?
I think the trend is too new for us to actually observe any empirical impact on the ground, but I think you're absolutely right in saying that there must be some impact. So, for example, the creation of kind of coding schools, the hiring of teachers, and the emphasis, obviously, right, that the coding would be an important part of Chinese future and Chinese economy. That eventually, I believe in 5 years, would have a transformative impact on the Chinese economy.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. We'll see how that looks in 5 years' time. Thank you so much, Tran, Assistant Professor of Sociology